Your neighbor checked your house while you were gone and found something you won't believe. Archangel Michael says, "My beloved child, stay till end don't move." What you're about to hear will leave your heart trembling with both shock and revelation. Something happened in your absence that no one dared to tell you until now. Your neighbor, the one who always waves politely but rarely speaks, did something unexpected the day you were gone. They stepped inside your house, not out of curiosity, but because something called them in. The air around your home felt heavy that evening, as if a secret was waiting to be uncovered. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Inside your house, the light in your living room flickered without explanation. The neighbor swore they heard soft whispers, like your name being spoken in a tone that carried both sadness and protection. Every picture frame on the wall seemed slightly turned, as though invisible hands had moved them to send a silent message. 333 When your neighbor walked closer to your table, they found something lying there, a folded paper aged at the edges, glowing faintly under the dim light. It wasn't ordinary. The handwriting looked familiar, yet otherworldly, almost as if it had been written by someone who knew you far deeper than anyone alive could. The words on it were gentle but powerful. Do not fear what's gone missing. It's returning in another form. The neighbor froze. They knew it wasn't meant for them. The moment they touched it, the air shifted. Your favorite scent filled the room. Something unseen brushed past them like a whisper saying, "Tell them I was here." They stepped back, shaken, realizing this was not an accident. This was a visitation. For 44, when they turned toward your window, they saw a faint imprint of a hand on the glass. Warm, recent, impossible. And then your cat, who had been missing for days, walked out from the shadowed corner and sat calmly, staring directly at the note. It was as if the animal had seen it all happen. The neighbor felt chills and quickly placed the paper back. Untouched. They left your house in silence, locking the door behind them. But the look on their face when they met another resident outside said everything. They had seen something divine, something they couldn't explain in words. Their hands were trembling, yet their eyes carried peace, like they had witnessed an angel leave a mark. 555 hours later, you returned home unaware of what had transpired, but something felt different. The air was warmer, lighter, filled with presence. You noticed the same note exactly where you'd left it, though you had no memory of writing it. And when you touched it, you felt a pulse, a heartbeat echoing through the ink. That's when you realized this wasn't just a message. It was a promise from beyond. Archangel Michael says, "The unseen has been watching over you all along." Even when you thought you were alone, divine eyes never left your doorway. These moments aren't coincidences. They are confirmations that protection walks beside you. You are being guarded, tested, and reminded of your worth. 666. That same night, your neighbor couldn't sleep. They heard a knock echoing faintly from their wall shared with your home. But when they stepped outside, the stars above shimmered brighter than usual, and for the first time, they felt peace instead of fear. A soft voice whispered, "It's done. They are safe." Meanwhile, you sat quietly on your couch, holding that note under your fingers. A warmth spread through your chest, and a tear rolled down your cheek, not of sadness, but relief. Because somewhere deep down, you knew exactly who had been there. Someone who once promised to never leave, even after crossing into light. 777 The next morning, your neighbor saw you again and smiled differently, softer, humbler, as if they understood now that not everything in life needs proof. They didn't mention what they saw, but you both shared a silent knowing. The air between your houses now feels sacred, touched by something higher. Archangel Michael says, when divine presence enters, the ordinary becomes holy. Every whisper, every flicker, every scent. None of it was random. It was all orchestrated to remind you that love never dies. It only changes form. 888, my beloved child, don't scroll away from this truth. The note your neighbor found wasn't just for you. It was a bridge between worlds. It carried the energy of unfinished prayers fulfilled now in perfect timing. What you lost is not gone. It's simply standing behind the curtain, waiting for the right moment to reappear. Tonight, when the world grows quiet, sit by your window. Whisper, I'm listening. You might feel the same warmth your neighbor felt. The same unseen presence surrounding you. That's heaven's confirmation that the story isn't over. 999, and as you drift into sleep, know this. No one can invade what is divinely guarded. Your home, your spirit, your path, they are all sealed with light. The neighbor was merely a messenger chosen to witness what your soul already knew. Archangel Michael says, peace has entered your dwelling, and the past no longer holds power here. Rest, my beloved child. The unseen visitor left a blessing behind, one that will follow you for the rest of your life. My beloved child, breathe slowly and stay till the end. What you are about to hear was never meant for ordinary ears. The neighbor who entered your house tried to stay silent, but the truth started haunting them in ways they couldn't escape. That night, after leaving your home, they couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was still walking behind them. Every step toward their door felt heavier, like the air itself was whispering the truth they weren't ready to carry. They told themselves it was their imagination, but the echo of your name followed them into their dreams. Don't skip. Stay right here. Something powerful is about to unfold. The next morning, they woke up to find the same note. Yes, the one from your table lying near their own window. But this time it had changed. A single new line had appeared in shimmering ink. Tell them what you saw in the mirror. The neighbor froze, realizing they never looked into the mirror in your home, but something or someone wanted them to. 333, driven by a force beyond understanding, they returned to your doorstep. The moment they stepped inside, the air was filled with the faint scent of rain and jasmine. Your scent. The mirror on your hallway wall was no longer still, it rippled like water, reflecting not their face, but yours. Yet the reflection wasn't present-day you. It was you smiling peacefully holding a candle as if standing between two worlds. Archangel Michael says, when light calls your name, even fear bows down to peace. The neighbor watched in awe as the reflection placed the candle down and the flame didn't burn. It glowed like a heart. Then a single whisper filled the room. They will know soon. Do not fear what's returning. 444. The mirror stilled again. The neighbor stepped closer. Trembling, but a small golden feather rested where the candle had been in the reflection. It lay there glowing faintly on the floor. They picked it up and felt warmth rush through their palm. Comfort, clarity, and peace. It was no ordinary feather. It carried the energy of divine guardianship. When they handed it to you later that day, you didn't understand at first, but the moment your fingers touched it, your entire body tingled. You felt a sudden calmness, like your heart finally recognized what it had been missing. That feather belonged to the presence that has been watching over you, protecting you even in silence. 5:55 That night you sat with the feather under the same mirror. The reflection shimmered again, faintly revealing two shapes. One was you. The other was the person you once lost. They smiled gently, whispering words that only your soul could decode. Everything taken from you is finding its way home. Your eyes filled with tears, but your heart felt safe. Every unanswered moment began to make sense. The loneliness, the sudden chills, the whispers in empty rooms, all were signs of love trying to reach you through time. Archangel Michael says, even when heaven is silent, it's still working behind your scenes. That presence your neighbor sensed wasn't haunting. It was healing. The note, the mirror, the feather. Each one was a piece of your divine restoration unfolding quietly in your home. 666. The next few days, strange synchronicities began appearing around you. Every clock you glanced at showed repeating numbers. 222, 333, 444. Your phone lit up randomly with messages from people you hadn't spoken to in years. Each one unknowingly said something that felt like an echo of that divine note. You're protected. Then came the moment that confirmed everything. One evening, while sitting near your window, you saw your neighbor staring from across the fence. But this time, they weren't afraid. They were smiling, holding something small in their hand. It was your lost keychain, the one that disappeared months ago. They said it was found right under your doormat, placed perfectly as if returned by invisible hands. 777. The moment you held that keychain again, your chest felt lighter. You looked at the sky and saw a single streak of light cutting through the clouds, vanishing as fast as it appeared. You knew what it meant. Heaven had just closed one chapter and opened another. Archangel Michael says, the ones who left never really leave, they just wait for your heart to be ready to see them again. The neighbor's discovery was not by accident. It was guided so you could finally receive the message that's been waiting for you. 888 My beloved child, tonight when you rest, keep that feather near your heart. Its warmth will connect you directly to your protector's light. You may feel a gentle breeze, a soft tingling around your hand, or hear a faint whisper that sounds like your name. Don't be afraid. It's your guardian, confirming, I'm still here. As dawn rises, you'll notice subtle shifts around you. Peace where there was tension, laughter returning, and unexpected blessings appearing out of nowhere. The note, the mirror, the feather, the keychain, they were never random. They were coded proof that divine hands are rebuilding your story piece by piece. 999 The neighbor now understands they were chosen not to intrude but to witness. The unseen chose them as a bridge between realms so that you could finally awaken to your truth. You are never alone. Your home has become a sanctuary of light. Your presence a magnet for miracles. Archangel Michael says, when you accept the unseen, the seen world shifts in your favor. Every object touched by that energy will now work for your good. Every word spoken in light will multiply your peace. My beloved child, stay with me. Don't scroll. What happens next will make your heart skip a beat, not from fear, but from divine confirmation. The universe had been quietly preparing this moment. And last night, it finally arrived. You were sitting in the living room, the feather resting on your table, when a soft creak echoed from across the hall. You looked up, no wind, no movement. Yet your old wooden drawer slowly slid open by itself. Inside, something gleamed under the dim light, as though waiting centuries just for this exact moment. Don't skip. Stay till the end. What's hidden inside that drawer carries the truth you were destined to see. It was a small velvet pouch, untouched, sealed with a golden thread. When you lifted it, a strange warmth spread through your palm. The same warmth you felt from the feather. And when you untied the thread, a folded note fell out. Older than time, yet perfectly preserved. Its first line shimmered faintly. You were never forgotten. 333, the handwriting was elegant, ancient, but familiar in a way that made your soul tremble. You realized it matched the writing on the first note your neighbor found. Your breath caught as you continued reading. Every absence, every silence, every tear carried my name upon it. I watched, I waited, I returned. Suddenly, the lights in your house dimmed for a moment, not in darkness, but in reverence. You felt a presence standing near you, soft yet powerful, filling the space with a peace that words could never describe. The feather on your table began to glow faintly again, confirming that the same divine force was present. Archangel Michael says, when heaven wants you to know the truth, it doesn't knock. It opens the door itself. That drawer didn't move by accident. It responded to your readiness. The note was hidden until your spirit reached the point where it could finally receive the message without fear. For 44, as you read on, your vision blurred with emotion. The note continued, I left signs in places you'd least expect. I whispered through songs, dreams, and passing strangers. But you called me back with your strength, your faith, your refusal to give up. Each word carried vibration like music that only your heart could hear. You could feel it in your chest, pulsing like a heartbeat that didn't belong just to you. That's when you knew it wasn't a goodbye note. It was a reunion written long before you were even aware of it. Your neighbor, too, felt something at that very hour. They reported later that their room filled with soft golden light for less than a minute. Their phone clock froze at exactly 11:11 p.m. The same time your drawer opened. The universe synced your energies perfectly. 2 witnesses, 1 miracle, 555. Later that night, you placed both notes together under the mirror. The reflection shimmered once more, but this time it didn't show your face. It showed wings, massive, radiant wings folding gently around your home like a shield. You could almost hear a whisper. The protection has been restored. Archangel Michael says, every home that welcomes light becomes untouchable by darkness. What your neighbor found was never random. It was divine choreography. Every movement, every flicker, every object served one purpose, to remind you that you are guided, chosen, and deeply loved. 666. As dawn broke, the golden glow in your room softened into sunlight. Birds began to sing outside your window, and even your neighbor's garden seemed brighter than usual. When you looked back at the drawer, the pouch had vanished. But in its place lay something new. A small key made entirely of crystal. It reflected light in 7 colors, forming a halo on your wall. You picked it up gently, and a whisper filled the air. The final chapter awaits, in the room of memories. You instantly knew which room. It was the attic you hadn't entered in years. Something sacred was calling from there, something that had waited quietly, patient, and pure. 777. You climbed the steps, your heartbeat aligning with every creak of the old wood. As you reached the top, a beam of light from the window pointed directly toward an old box covered in dust. The same key fit perfectly into its lock, and when it turned, the air filled with warmth again, a familiar fragrance of peace, love, and presence. Inside the box were photos, letters, and a small pendant you thought you lost long ago. But there was also one more note written in gold ink. Every object you found carries my love. I never left. I only shifted form so you could see what remains unseen. Archangel Michael says, love does not vanish. It transforms. What your neighbor witnessed, what your home revealed. None of it was meant to scare you. It was the universe's gentle way of proving that heaven had always been walking beside you. 888. My beloved child, your home is no longer just a place. It's a portal of remembrance. Every corner, every shadow now carries the mark of divine light. The unseen visitor who touched your life has anchored blessings in every heartbeat of your space. Tonight, sit quietly with the feather and the key. Close your eyes and whisper, I accept the light that lives within me. You'll feel that same warmth again. Soft, golden, steady, flowing through your body as confirmation. That is the sign you've been waiting for. 999. The neighbor may never speak of what they saw in words, but their silence holds truth. They were chosen to witness your awakening, to stand as the human link between heaven's unseen hand and your earthly heart. You were never left unguarded. Not for a second. Archangel Michael says, you are the chosen protector of what's sacred. And now you finally remember who you are. My beloved child, lean in. Don't blink, the light that led your neighbor through your doorway hasn't finished speaking. That attic you just opened is older than you think. It's a timeline folded in dust and wood. You lifted the pendant from the box and felt it hum softly in your hand. Beneath it lay another layer of parchment sealed in wax shaped like a feather. You broke the seal and a shimmer of light ran across the paper before the words appeared one by one as though written by invisible hands. Don't skip. Every line is part of a promise that once held your name long before your first breath. The letter began with a date you didn't recognize. June 17th before your birth year. It read, when the keeper of light returns to the house with the mirror, the feather, and the neighbor of faith, the circle will reopen. They will remember your eyes filled instantly. Someone somewhere had known this would happen decades ago. 333, each word pulsed gently on the page like a heartbeat echoing through time. You could almost hear the writer's voice. Steady, patient, loving. The letter continued. You were chosen to restore what was broken by disbelief. Through the witness, truth will walk again. Suddenly, the attic window opened slightly on its own, letting in a cool breeze. Papers fluttered, but didn't fall. A ray of morning sunlight touched the page and hidden symbols glowed underneath the writing. Circles, wings, and a single eye watching over them. The air itself began to hum, a low resonance that filled your entire chest with warmth. Archangel Michael says, time does not move in straight lines for those who walk with light. That message wasn't written in the past. It was written outside of time, waiting for you to arrive at this exact heartbeat. For 44, your neighbor, sitting in their home across the street, suddenly felt the same vibration. They looked toward your house and saw light reflecting from the attic window like a quiet beacon. They didn't understand it fully, but their heart whispered, "It's happening." Back in the attic, you noticed something else. Faint fingerprints on the letter. Smaller, softer, glowing. They weren't yours. They belonged to the same presence that left the first note. You could almost hear laughter, gentle and distant, like someone proud of you from far away. You placed the parchment over your heart, and in that moment every unanswered question faded. You didn't need to know how. You only needed to feel that you were part of something infinite. 5:55, when you descended from the attic, the house felt different again. Every step echoed like a melody composed just for you. The mirrors were calm. The air clear, and for the first time in years you felt completely safe. The feather on your table had turned silver, reflecting the morning light like water. Archangel Michael says, peace is not given. It is remembered. You were never being tested. You were being awakened. The neighbor's courage, the open drawer, the glowing note, all were threads woven by unseen hands to bring you home to yourself. 6:66 that evening, your neighbor knocked softly on your door. They didn't speak. They simply handed you a small box they found on their porch with no sender's name. Inside lay a ring with a blue stone and an engraving that read, "Return to light." You both stared at it, realizing this was the missing piece of the prophecy. You placed the ring beside the feather, the crystal key, and the letters. The moment they touched, a gentle sound, like a bell underwater, filled the room. The mirror glowed once more, revealing not reflections but paths. One stretching behind you, one unfolding ahead. And in the center stood a single word written in light. Continue. 777, my beloved child, that word wasn't a command. It was permission. Permission to live without fear. To carry the symbols as reminders, not burdens. The house has completed its awakening. Now it's your heart's turn. Close your eyes tonight and whisper, I continue in peace. You'll feel a warmth travel from your chest to your palms. The same warmth that guided every miracle so far. That is the seal of completion. Archangel Michael says, those who remember light become light. The neighbor will rest easier. Your home will stay blessed, and your steps will lead others back to faith without effort. 888, my beloved child, keep breathing slowly. The final thread of this story reveals itself only in stillness. The moon has climbed to its highest place, and the same light that once touched the mirror now rests upon your window. The house is silent, even the wind has paused. You carry the folded prophecy to the table where the feather and crystal key still rest. Its ink looks dull at first, but as the moonlight stretches across it, faint silver letters begin to rise like breath on glass. Don't scroll. Stay until the end. This is where everything you've lived through comes together. The final line forms gently, shimmering across the paper. Written by Emile, the first watcher of your line. You whisper the name aloud and the air ripples soft as a sigh. The chandelier above you sways once, releasing a rain of tiny reflections that dance around the room like stars. 3:33 Your neighbor awake in their bed feels it too. A thin beam of light crosses their wall, painting the same name above their doorway for only a heartbeat before it fades. Their spirit understands they were never just a witness. They were chosen by that watcher to stand beside you when the veil thinned. Inside your home. The letters on the parchment dissolve into a fine mist, the mist circles the feather, the key, and the ring, then flows upward through the open window as if returning home. A gentle voice follows it, tender and radiant. The circle is complete. Walk in light. Archangel Michael says, every ending is only the beginning remembered. He stands unseen behind that voice, sealing your space with calm. The walls that once held echoes now hum with quiet blessing. For 44, the next morning, sunlight pours in brighter than you remember. The drawer, the mirror, the attic, all are perfectly still yet alive. The air smells of rain and jasmine again. You notice the key now bears faint etchings of wings. Something that wasn't there before. Your neighbor knocks once more, smiling without fear. It feels different today, they say softly. You nod because it is. The energy has changed from mystery to memory. A chapter written, read, and gently closed. 5:55, later, while making tea, you glance at the spot where the prophecy had rested. There, faintly burned into the wood, is a single phrase. Remember the watcher, but live your own dawn. The message is clear. The past gave you faith. The future will give you purpose. Archangel Michael says, the miracle was never in the signs. It was in your awakening. The neighbor found courage. You found peace. And heaven found a bridge in the simplest of human hearts. 666, my beloved child, tonight when you close your eyes, you'll feel that same soft warmth one last time. Not to startle but to assure. It will brush your hair like a breeze, and whisper, you did it. Then it will fade, leaving only the quiet power of calm. Tomorrow will arrive lighter, easier, full of coincidences that feel like small smiles from above. You may find feathers on your path, glints of light on water, or numbers repeating at just the right second. Each is a gentle nod from the watcher, a reminder that love never departs. It simply learns new ways to stay. 777. The neighbor will go about their days with a peace they can't explain. You will move through life knowing that what happened in that house was not superstition. It was alignment. Two souls, one home, and an orchestra of unseen guardians proving that ordinary places can become sacred. Archangel Michael says, "Carry light, and you will never walk alone." Sparkles 888. Sparkles, subscribe manifestage Archangel TO listen God's talk and wisdom every day.